of course, as with any great movement, the work goes on.
Before persons with disabilities had rights, the treatment of those persons could be classified as unconstitutional. Disabled people were segregated from society, housed in institutions that failed to meet their most basic needs. The 1960s gave a kickstart that the disability rights movement, the civil rights movement. Also, when soldiers were coming home from the war with disabilities because of missing limbs and etc., it started to click in people's minds of how bad things really were for people with disabilities. The 80s is when activists truly started lobbying to have people with disabilities protected under the Civil Rights Statute. It took approximately 3 decades for something specifically directed towards the protection of disabled persons' rights to be passed. The Americans with Disabilities Act was signed into law July 26, 1990. The ADA prohibits the discrimination against individuals with disabilities in all areas of life, including school, jobs, and transportation. The ADA has 5 titles, each relating to a different aspect of life. Title I of the ADA addresses access to the workplace. Title II addresses state and local government services. Title III addresses places of public accommodation and commercial facilities. Title IV addresses telecommunications for people with hearing and speech impairments. And Title V provides a list of certain conditions that are not to be considered as disabilities.
Our problems are large, but our unified heart is larger. Our challenges are great, but our will is greater. And in our America, the most generous, optimistic nation on the face of the earth, we must not and will not rest until every man and woman with a dream has the means to achieve it. And today, America welcomes into the mainstream of life all of our fellow citizens with disabilities. We embrace you for your abilities and for your disabilities, for our similarities, and indeed for our differences, for your past courage and your future dreams.
After the ADA in 2002 came the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. The CRPD was negotiated within 8 sessions from 2002 to 2006 and was put into action May 3, 2008. The purpose of the CRPD is to promote, defend, and reinforce the human rights of all persons with disabilities. The CRPD is also the first comprehensive human rights treaty of the 21st century.
We have to get ourselves out there and get ourselves known.
Being disabled does not mean being powerless.
The possibilities are limitless. Quality of life, opportunities in employment and education, I mean, it's boundless.
The barriers are no longer on the person. The barriers for participation are actually on the environment, on the attitudes, and how the system is designed.
I look forward to the day when advocacy for persons with disabilities is not needed anymore because it's understood.
During the negotiation of the CRPD, the Disability Pride Parade ended their 13-year hiatus on July 18, 2004 in Chicago, Illinois. The theme of the 2004 parade was Unified in Pride, and is ironic because out of the 500 people estimated to attend the event, roughly over 2,000 people attended. The parade unified people beyond what was thought could happen. The Disability Pride Parades seek to end the stigma of disability and to promote the fact that disability is an intricate part of human diversity.
Today, there's a whole new generation of young Americans with disabilities who have only known life with the ADA. They call themselves the ADA generation, after a law that strove to make good on the promise of America, a promise that belongs to all of us, that isn't confined to any one race or class or group. These Americans inherited the story of the disabilities rights movement, and they continue to write it today.